A little club called Aston Villa are known as being a big club. Well, what does big club actually mean? Well, it means that they've been quite successful over the years. They've won league titles, they've won FA Cups, they've won League Cups, and they've won the European Cup, which in today's money is known as the Champions League. That's considered quite important. They've also had some quality players over the years. They've developed some great talent at the club, first of all. Players like Darius Vassell, Gareth Barry, Lee Hendry, Gabby Agbonlahor, J. Lloyd Samuel, Craig Gardner, Gary Gardner, Liam Ridgewell, Kieran Clark, Peter Whittingham, and some bloke called Jack. I don't know whether you've heard of him, maybe. They've also attracted some fantastic players to the club as well. Dwight York's a great example, who also brought in players like Peter Schmeichel, Paul Merson, David Ginola, Olaf Melberg, Juan Pablo Angel, Christian Benteke, Stilian Petrov, Martin Lawson, Brad Friedel, James Milner, Fabian Delph, John Carew, Stuart Downing, Ashley Young, Andy Gray, Peter White, and some of those players have moved on to better things as well. Gareth Barry, who came through the academy, went on to play for Manchester City and won a league title. Fabian Delph also went to Manchester City. Liverpool got the benefits of players like Stuart Downing and Christian Benteke. We also ended up having Olaf Melberg going to Juventus. How nuts is that? And that bloke called Jack, I think he did alright as well. Having said that, though, there have been some duds over the years with Aston Villa. Players like Felipe Coutinho being the most recent example. Emil Heskey, Danny Drinkwater, Jolyon Lescott, Micah Richards, Eric Jemba, and Charlton Zogby are a great example of players who we've spent money on who didn't really do anything for us. And things like that kind of led to the downfall of the club. I mean, the last trophy Aston Villa won was 1996, the League Cup. And the last time Aston Villa won the league was in 1981, the year before they actually won the European Cup. So they won that more recently than they won the league. I mean, Aston Villa have won the Intertoto Cup in the meantime, but I don't think anyone counts that. I mean, I don't. Why would you? So I think it's safe to say that Villa were a sleeping giant, but they ended up being a sleeping giant that fell into a coma because they got relegated in 2016, going down with a really not very good points total and had to fight their way back up, but eventually getting promoted in 2019 under Villa fan Dean Smith with the help of his captain Jack Grealish. And the following season we managed to stay up during the COVID era, and with a bit of help from some dubious goal line technology, I do have to say as well, we did end up staying up and we did start to build on that. However, bad injuries and bad form led to Dean Smith being replaced by Steven Gerrard, freshly out of a league title win at Rangers. But he didn't carry that form through and ended up getting sacked less than a year later, quite frankly. I think it was less than a year later, something like that. But he got sacked and he got replaced by Unai Emery. And 12 months on, it looks like Villa firmly have landed on their feet. If you were to start the Premier League table from the moment that Emery took over, Villa would be fourth. Yeah, they've got Champions League form. They also have got the third best home record in top European leagues. That is insane to think about. And with the current crop of players they've got, players like, for example, Ollie Watkins, Tyrone Mings, Pau Torres, Emi Martinez, Diaby, McGinn, Louise, Digne, Tielemans, they have got a stacked squad, and there's so many other players I haven't mentioned to push on and develop even further than what they're currently doing. And currently, they're in the Europa Conference League, they're flying in the top half of the Premier League table, everything's looking great. So that surely makes them a great candidate to take over on Football Manager, especially Football Manager 2024. Oh, go on then, you've twisted my arm. How you doing, everybody, and welcome to part 1 of the Aston Villa beta save here on FM24. Now, that might be the last time I refer to it verbally as the beta save, because in all likelihood this will carry on past the beta save and into the main game. We're looking to do 2 or 3 seasons here at Aston Villa and have some fun while we're doing it. And if you are excited to see the Football Manager 2024 content on the channel, do not forget to leave a like on the video for me and to subscribe so you don't miss any of the nonsense that comes out of this face here. Like that intro, that was far more effort than it was probably actually worth. But we're here at Villa Park and I'm very excited. I don't know if you can tell, the Villa shirt. The Villa shirt is the European Cup winning Villa shirt, the 1982 shirt that was worn during that. Not the actual shirt, obviously, this is a replica. But yeah, I'm wearing it because it's making a point, and that point is we want to take Villa in this save as far as we can in a limited amount of time. We're thinking 3 seasons for here. And we're just going to see what we can do. Obviously, Villa will be in the Europa Conference League this season. We'll do our best to win that. And we'll do our best to get into the Champions League. I don't think we're going to win the Champions League in 3 seasons, but we'll certainly try. I mean, In my career save in FM23, we won the Champions League with Southampton in 4 seasons, and their squad was considerably worse at that point when I took over than Villa's squad is at the moment. So who knows? But let's just get into it, shall we? I'm very excited to get into a brand new FM24 save. If you haven't been watching, I am finishing my career series on FM24. I've transferred the save over. It's worked like a dream, and we're in the World Cup. So the first episode of that will have already come out by the time you're seeing this. The next video after this will be the second video of the World Cup. So please give that a watch. It's a World Cup in originally FM23. It's now in FM24. It's in the year 2034. England have won the World Cup twice, but they're not the defending champions. We are managing England, and we've still got players like Phil Foden and Jude Bellingham knocking around, and plus a bunch of really tasty new gens as well. So go and give that a watch. But that's not what we're here for. What we're here for is to see how we can do with Aston Villa. We have been confirmed as the manager, and eyebrows have been raised that the 32-year-old, which I am no longer, has been hired. So let's get into the nitty-gritty and have a look, shall we? So we are a 3.5-star reputation club. I'm a bit surprised it's that low with the quality of players we've got, but it's not necessarily based on that. We're predicted to finish 9th in the media. That feels a bit low, but then considering how we have done in recent years, I can understand it, but I think everyone accepts we're going to be higher than that. We've only got a £3 million transfer budget. We'll do what we can to get that up, but as you can see, the history's there. The European Cup, the league titles, the UEFA Super Cup back in the day, FA Cups, Championship we've won twice, a couple of Carabao Cups. We've also won the League One, and we've also won the Community Shield as well. The most important trophy in all of football, just behind the Intertoto Cup as well. But yeah, that's how everything looks. Founded in 1874, our fierce rivals are Birmingham City. Oh, I'd love us to face them in this save. That'd be lovely. And that's apparently our strongest 11. I ain't using the 4-2-4, but that is a very strong team. I mean, there's so many players in the intro I didn't mention, but like Alex Moreno, Matty Cash, Diego Carlos, didn't even touch those. Boubacar Kamara, didn't even touch him. Zaniolo as well, didn't touch him. How Traore gets into our best 11, I don't really know. But if we put that team out, that'd do wonders for us, I do think. I think it would do really well. I mean, John McGinn's not even in that 11, goodness me. But yeah, very good squad. We already know that. The club wants us not to sign any old men. I say old men. They don't want to sign over 28-year-olds. That's a bit ridiculous. And they want to sign under 23-year-olds if possible. It's only favoured. They also want us to sign players to sell for a profit, which is fine, but it's not something they're desperate for. But I mean, I would rather us turn into a club that doesn't need to sell players. And work within the wage budget, we can do that, hopefully. And this is what they want from us. Record the top half finish. That is more than doable. Last stages of the FA Cup, I think, get past 1 or 2 rounds, I think we'll be fine on that one, but that is required. Latter stages of Conference League is preferred, but I think we can do that. Latter stages of Carabao Cup, again, preferred, I think we can do that. And work towards becoming self-sustainable. I don't really know what I can do with that. Basically, don't spend too much money, I think, is the thing. Qualify for the Europa League at the end of next season. We can do that. Work towards being self-sustainable again. Then our contract expires. So we've actually only got 2 seasons at the moment. So we have to work really hard to get that 3rd season. And they want us to continue to basically do what we're doing at that point. And that's fine. I think we can do that. I think that's all absolutely manageable. They also want us in the club vision to play attacking football and entertaining football. And supporters' expectations are top half finish, better at Birmingham, better at West Brom, and finish above Wolves. We should be able to do all of that. Obviously, we don't necessarily play against Birmingham and West Brom by default, but we'll see what happens. We'll definitely see what happens. We'll do the press conference, but you won't have to see that. And the Inter-Squad friendly, yeah, I'm going to be doing that, and we're going to set those to every month. Nice. And here we are, the first time I am playing Football Manager 2024 in a brand new save. So it's going to be interesting because I've got into some of the nitty-gritty on the World Cup save. I've not actually really done that much, though. I've had a little play around the set pieces. I'm not going to show you guys that because there's better people than I out there to go through that stuff. I'm still going to be learning about it, so it is what it is. But supporter profile, let's have a quick look. So hardcore fans make up 10%. The core base make up 35%. We've got family and fair weather at 18 and 19% respectively. Corporate is 2% and the casual fan is 16%. So we've got that core fan base that we really need to appease. They have got a moderate influence over the board, so that is worth bearing in mind as well. Club vision and expectations, I don't think we're going to necessarily argue with anything. I did miss out. They want us to expand the stadium. I mean, I feel like that's outside of our remit, but that's absolutely fine. I'm going to confirm. There's no point arguing with anything. I'm quite happy with what's going on. Last season, of course, Villa ended up finishing 7th. I would be aiming for that minimum. But yeah, I think I think all of that's absolutely fine. Players in the last year of their contracts. Tyrone Mings is one of them. He's got injury concerns. He does have injury concerns. He's 30 years old. I think he has to have a big season for us to consider giving him a new deal. I do love Tyrone Mings. I really do. But we do need a big year from him in order for us to actually give him anything. Bertrand Traore, I don't think he's good enough. And then a lot of them are just younger players after that. So I think we'll deal with that at a later date. Pre-season prep, don't need to worry about that. Injury worries, I don't think we need to worry. Squad selection and transfer window, we don't need to worry. The important thing is, let's have a look at the squads. I do need to put a new view on here. I might quickly do that, so bear with me 1 second. Okay, that's probably about as done as it's going to be at the moment. I couldn't load my one from FM23. I think I saved it to the cloud, so it's fine. We'll work with what we've got. But this is the squad that we've got. And the squad that we have got includes a total of 27 players. So there's a bit of wiggle room there in terms of moving players on if we feel like we need to. So what I am going to do is make sure we haven't got the players who are on loan away from the club listed on here. This is obviously slightly out of date because I don't think Leander Dendoncker I'm trying to think if he's still at the club or whether we ended up leaving. I actually can't remember. But 24 players, probably not as much wiggle room as I would like. However, if we can get some really good transfer fees for 1 or 2 players, that would be great. John McGinn, transfer listed. He starts every week. He starts every week. Straight away, that's not happening. John McGinn is not going to be on the transfer list. Let's make sure that. Can I change that? Can I? I don't want him on the transfer. That's Clement Longley, Stu. You don't want to look at him. You want to look at John McGinn. Let's try that again. Transfer status. I don't need to see that. Transfer status listed. No status set. Confirm. I'm not transfer listing him unless he does something. There's kind of a few players I want to give a chance to. Now, we have got injuries. Potential 3-month injury for Bertrand Traore. A 12-month injury for Tyrone Mings. So we have to pretend Tyrone Mings doesn't exist. Courtney Hawes is out for 2 to 8 weeks. That's manageable. Jacob Ramsey's out for up to 3 months. That's not ideal. Moreno's out for 3 to 4 months. And Wendy's out for basically a year. So actually, miss out a bunch of those players. So we reduce our numbers down dramatically at that point. So although we have got a good squad depth, we have got some players that are going to be missing. So we really need to do something about that. So basically, that's the squad that we've got to work with. And that is of 17 players. That's actually not very high. However, we do have some youngsters. I don't want to report a bug. Why did I click on report a bug? Development centre, that's what I want to look at. We do have some good youngsters. Villa have got a strong under-21 squad. In terms of players who are on loans out, I don't think there's anyone who would want to recall. I mean, to be fair, Morgan Sanson, Felipe Coutinho, they'd be handy squad players, but I don't really know if there'd be players I'd want to call back, to be honest with you. We don't have anyone who's over a 2-star ability in the youth squad, but we do have some players who've got some decent potential, so that's good to see. We might have to bring 1 or 2 of those up just to cover places on the bench. John Duran is a player who I'm surprised isn't in the first team, because he has played first team football this season. So that could make things slightly interesting. Now, in terms of players who I would let go, I'd consider Leander Dendoncker. Again, I'm not 100% sure whether he left in real life. I feel like he might have done. But I'd let him go. I'd like to get about 20 million for him, and then we could kind of use that money quite handily. I'm not letting any of these 3 go unless we get big boy offers. Like, that has to be more than 42 million, I'm sorry, for Douglas Luiz. Ollie Watkins has to be more than 34 million, and Boubacar Kamara has to be more than 48. It's as simple as that. It really is. But in terms of the best players at the club, Pau Torres is considered to be currently the best player at the club. I was very excited when we signed him. Very excited indeed. 19 caps for Spain with 1 goal. Formerly of Villarreal. I believe he will have been at Villarreal when the Europa League was won by Unai Emery. So it's very exciting to see him at the club. Very, very exciting indeed. The next best player apparently is Alex Moreno, who is out for some time, so we won't actually see how good he is. But then it's Moussa Diaby, who's had a great season so far in real life. Hopefully we can get the best out of him. That would be lovely. Nicolo Zaniolo, the stuff going on with him in real life at the moment, all I'll say is he's been a quality player in the past. I can't believe Villa actually ended up signing him, but I can't believe he ended up at Galatasaray. That's the thing that really confuses me, because I thought he was going to go on and be a worldie. Obviously, that hasn't happened yet, but I think he's still got a good amount of potential. I mean, in the game, not so much. He's kind of already hit it. Diego Carlos is next. Very good centre-back. 30 years old, though. Probably going to be looking to upgrade him soon. As good as he is, I'd consider moving him on. just because he's got value at the moment. Yuri Tillemans then in the club. Hasn't had a great start to life at Villa, but what a signing I thought that was when we got him. I can't believe another club didn't come in for him of a higher profile than Villa. I'm really happy we've got him. And I think in FM, we can do a good job with turning him into a proper playmaker. So I'm excited to have him. Emi Martinez, World Cup winning goalkeeper, of course, and king of absolute, like, utter banter and, pardon my French, housery. Very excited to have him in goal. I have fallen out with him in the past, so hopefully this year is not one of them. And then we've got a few other players. Clement Longley, on loan from Barcelona. What a ridiculous sentence to say that is for Aston Villa, although there's a precedent, Felipe Coutinho. But he's coming as a backup central defender, possibly a right back, I think, or a left back. I think he can play as a full back if needed. But then we've got Lucas Digne, who will be our go-to free kick taker, 29 years old. Very good full pack. Very surprised again that we've got him because I think he's a good top play for a top club. Next best player is Emi Buendia. He's got a bit of potential. Had that horrible injury at the start of the season, so he is ruled out for this season. We'll have him next year, but it'll be interesting to see what type of Emi Buendia we get. Will he be able to go at the level that he's gone before? John McGinn's next. I think John McGinn is like captain or vice captain in real life. I forget now. I can't remember whether Tyrone Mings got the captaincy back. I think he did, you know. But John McGinn, very important for us. Can't believe he was on the transfer list at the start of this game. That's utter nonsense. Boubacar Kamara is next. I think this guy's going to have a big future. I'll be very surprised if Villa still have him in a season or two. I think a big club will come in for him. Very good. 3 caps for France already. 23 years old. Looks quality. Jacob Ramsey is someone who, if he continues doing what he's doing, I think he could end up playing for England one day. I don't know how long that will be, but I think the development needs to continue, and he needs to continue very, very well. He's got the injury at the start of the season. I mean, the amount of players we'll get that will feel like new signings when they come back from injury is going to be fantastic, but he's a starlet. Matty Cash, the Polish Cafu, I think he's referred to as. Kind of weird to think he's Polish. I'm a bit surprised England didn't snap him up, to be honest, because I think he is quality. Formerly of Nottingham Forest. We have him. I'm very happy to have him. Next, we've got Ezri Konsa. Again, surprised he's not been called up for England because he has had some good performances. I'm not saying that he's at that level all the time, but he's had some good times where I would have thought he would have had a call up. But very, very good defender, 25 years old, still got time on his side, still got room to improve. Ollie Watkins is next, 27 years old, had a really good season so far this year. He's been relatively consistent for Aston Villa. He's hit double figures in these seasons that he's had while he's been here. Of course, we signed him from Brentford. Very good signing, and will be leading the line to begin with in the save. But long term, I think we need a new striker. Tyrone Mings is then the next best player. So at 30 years old, he's all the way down here on the list. I would imagine we would be looking to move him on at the end of the season. I don't think that's a secret. Douglas Luiz has been sensational this season. He's scored in consecutive games. I can't remember exactly how many, but he's like equalled or broken the record that Dwight York had set. So that's ridiculous from midfield. 25 years old. He's got 9 caps for Brazil. He's got great corners. He can score from corners. Quality this season. I don't know whether his actual ability this season is reflected in the game. I don't know if they would have predicted how well he's played, but I still think he'll be a good part of the midfield. Leon Bailey is next. I don't really like Leon Bailey. However, I can't doubt that he's had a decent season this year, and I can't doubt he's got some decent stats. However, if I was looking to move someone on, he's someone I'd want to generate some money for, definitely. Robin Olsen's next. I mean, he's a backup goalkeeper. He's fine. Courtney Hawes, if he was fit, I'd move him on. We've got 8 weeks to try and get him fit. And hopefully we can move him on potentially in that period. If we can get him into the amber period, then if we can get 6 million for him, I'll be very, very happy. Callum Chambers, I'd like to bin off as well. If we can get 15 million for him, I'd be delighted. And then it's Leander Dendoncker again. I'd like to get up to 20 million for him if I could. And then it's Bertrand Traore. I'd like to bin him off as well. So that's the team. In terms of the players, in terms of the squad that we've got like 6 central defenders. If we wanted to, we could play with 7 actually. We could play with a back 3 and effectively make it a back 5, but I don't know if I necessarily want to do that. However, having said that, if we just go into, let's just pick a gegenpress for example. I was going to kind of poo-poo the idea of doing that, but actually, I'm just thinking about it. If we were to load up, I don't necessarily know if this is the formation that we'd use, but obviously we'd have Emi Martinez. We'd have 3 central defenders. So let's say we have Pau Torres, let's say we have Diego Carlos, and let's say we have Ezri Konsa in the back 3. That then leaves us with Konsa, Hawes, Mings, Chambers. So immediately we've got a really, really strong foundation for a back three. Wing backs, we've then got Matty Cash on one side and Lucas Digne on the other. We've also got Alex Moreno. Right back is a position we definitely need, by the way. In the midfield, we've obviously got Boubacar Kamara and we've got, let's say, Douglas Luiz for the purposes of this. Attacking midfield-wise, one of them is definitely going to have to be Moussa Diaby. Immediately I'm seeing the problem. He can't play as an attacking midfielder, but that's fine. We can address that. And then I don't think we put Tielemans. Let's put McGinn there. And then let's put Ollie Watkins up front. Ollie Watkins will be a pressing forward. I mean, the squad kind of works with that. The squad does kind of work with that. I mean, if we were to move these guys further forward into the actual midfield, Douglas Luiz prefers to be box-to-box, I think. In fact, it says Mazzala on support. I mean, I'd prefer it to be box-to-box, so let's turn into box-to-box. Kamara would obviously be more of a defensive-minded midfielder, so I would be a ball winner. So we have those two there. And then we have, let's say, these guys. You can be a shadow striker because you've been banging the goals into this season, so that's entirely fair. And then we have these guys going up and down. I mean, I think that could be quite a strong squad. Potentially, anyway. And let's create like a... I always like to create like a false team in the bench. So let's put you three as the defenders. We know we need a right back, so let's put Callum Chambers there now. Left back can be you. Midfield, attacking midfield, striker. We've got the squad to do that, but I'm a bit concerned because I have mixed fortune with a back five. I have very, very mixed fortune. But I'm just thinking in terms of wingers, we don't really have much in the way of quality wingers. So if instead we went with a back four, so let's bring you two back. Let's take you out. Let's put you into the midfield. I mean, winger-wise, we've got... I mean, we could work with wingers. It's not that we don't have wingers. Let's say we do that. Diaby obviously can play on the wing. In fact, he prefers to be a winger on attack, apparently, which is great because it's also the same as Emi Buendia. But Diaby can also play on the left-hand side. Could be the... Well, apparently he's great as a winger on both sides, which is kind of crazy. McGinn could come into the middle. And then I'm just thinking... The midfield three is the interesting thing. So I think if we didn't go with the back five, we went with a back three. Maybe we go with something like this. And McGinn is definitely a better box-to-box. So that frees you up to me and Mazzala. Then we take Longley out and bring on, for the purposes of right now, let's say Leon Bailey. And swap Bailey and Diaby around. And try and find the best position for Bailey. Because Bailey, I don't really know. I mean, he wants to be a winger as well, which is really annoying. I don't really want two wingers. But he's left-footed, so you should be cutting inside, son. You should be cutting inside. I want someone cutting inside. So maybe we do something like that. I mean, we could do the other formation as well. I mean, John McGinn is just a player who has to be in the middle, I think. He's definitely better, I think, as a box-to-box midfielder. I think that's unquestionable. Douglas Luiz, I think we need to work out exactly what position he needs to be in because I think he's a very good defensive option. I think, actually, I'd prefer to go with something like this because I think Douglas Luiz can do box-to-box, as can John McGinn. And then we have someone playing as the attacking midfielder. Maybe it's Diaby, or maybe we train him to be a shadow striker because I genuinely think he could do a really good job there. And then the right wing, I mean, Zaniolo can play there. And he can do, in fact, he can do inside forward. So let's put him as an inside forward. He cuts in. Digne comes across. Maybe we do Digne as a complete wing back. Goes around like that. He comes in. Maybe we take Bailey out, possibly. But then we haven't got anyone to take him out for. This is going to be the issue. It's not necessarily going to be long term. We can do the four at the back, no problem. The problem we've got is the quality of players that we've got to fill in the gaps here. Like, we've got loads of central midfielders. Like, we've got 4 top quality central midfielders who could start. And probably all of them, bar John McGinn maybe, would do a really good job as a defensive midfielder. The issue we've got is we've got no one who can play in that position. So that actually leads me to think, let's go with this. But then it is the wing options. That's where it falls down a little bit. Not by a lot, don't get me wrong. It's not like we have no options if we want to play with wingers. But two of the options we'd have currently are injured. I mean, he prefers to be a winger on support, but he's left-footed. He's left-footed. But then we play him as a winger, and then we can change his player instructions, can't we? Because they have introduced new player instructions. You can cut inside with the ball. If we change him to support, I mean, he's going to be staying wider anyway. I thought that had been taken off, to be honest with you, this year, but obviously it hasn't been. So maybe we turn into attack, and we get him to cut inside, which I don't think he could do before. I think that's the thing that they couldn't do before. So he cuts inside. Maybe that's the formation that we go with. And we just have to go with it in terms of wingers. Because, again, the only backup winger we got would be Leon Bailey. Because Buendia's injured, Traore's injured. They'd be the other ones. So that's where it does fall down a little bit. But it isn't the end of the world necessarily. So if I reflect that again. So Dendoncker would be there. Douglas Luiz would be there. Jacob Ramsey would be there. Winger, striker. So yeah, that'd be the 11 that we'd end up with. Which, I mean, that starting 11 I think is great. The roles we'd have to work out. We haven't got a playmaker in there. We don't need a playmaker, but it would be handy to have one. That's a very defensive midfield three. There's no one really putting the pressure on. Like, they're on support, but we need probably one player on attack there, because we've only got 2 attacking instructions. I mean, we could change Zaniolo to attack. Digne gets forward, so maybe someone on this side we'd need to be attacking a little bit more. I mean, I don't think Tielemans is that guy because he's more of a playmaker. John McGinn's not that guy. But Jacob Ramsey would be. Jacob Ramsey would be that guy. He is a shadow striker. I mean, then again, he's a shadow striker. So do we then go with an attacking midfielder? Could we reinvent Tielemans as an advanced playmaker in that position? I mean, he's really not very good at it, apparently. He'd much prefers to be down at the bottom. But then he can play central midfielder on attack. But he's not really got the pace for it. That's the only issue. It's a difficult one to work out exactly what the balance of the squad is going to be. So what we might have to do is move some players on before we do anything. Now, again, squad-wise, we can actually do a full bench. But there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 injuries. One's a 3-month, one's a 12-month, one's a 3-month, one's a 4-month, one's a 12-month. So 2 season injuries, 3 long-term injuries. Really reduces what we can do in terms of the squad. And again, financially, we haven't got a lot to play with. And we don't even have any clauses as well, which is a bit of a problem. So we do need to work out what the best thing to do is. Because we've got a starting 11, and because of injuries, not much else. This might be a bit more of a challenge than I thought it would be. I didn't think it would be a walkover by any stretch, but squad-wise, it might be a bit more of a challenge. I mean, we might end up, potentially, going into a system that... I mean, we could also go 2 strikers. I haven't considered this, but we could go 2 strikers, defensive mid, and something like that, maybe. And we have Diaby as the advanced forward. We have Watkins as a pressing forward. And we have a 2-striker partnership here. We have these guys going up. Kamara sits at the base in the midfield. And then we've got the midfielders here. And then an attacking midfielder, which would get the best out of Jacob Ramsey. And it gets us most of our midfielders in. It makes use of the fact we've got loads of midfielders. Leon Bailey can be back up here. Zaniolo can't really do central midfield, but we could train him to do it. That might be the best option, to be honest. Keep it a bit wide. Maybe drop the tempo down a little bit. I'll have a fiddle with that off camera. But that might be the system that we end up having to use just to get the best out of the squad that we currently have. And then long term, we reshape it. We get the wingers back in there. We go with 1 striker up front. Might not actually end up being Watkins. Yeah, I think we go with that. I'm feeling more confident about something along these lines. Maybe we change the personnel a little bit. Maybe we go half-back. I do love me a half-back. He loves him a half-back as well. Tielemans we make into a deep lying on support. So both these guys are supporting. Whoever this is has to be attacking. And Diaby is a striker. We play Diaby as a striker. He's got decent enough finishing. His composure's not the best. However, he will, as an advanced forward, drift out wide. So him and Watkins, I think, could make a good partnership. So I think we go with that in pre-season to start with. We'll see how it goes. And then maybe, just maybe, we end up going with it and thinking it's a good idea. The one thing I will think is, I think Tielemans will pop on this side. I don't know why, but I feel like if we pop him on this side, have McGinn on this side, and McGinn can possibly drift out wide to support Matty Cash a little bit, whereas Tielemans, I'd like to stay around here. I think that'll work. Zaniolo will drift out wide as well. Diaby will as well. I think that's going to be the system to do it. But yeah, I think we're going to leave it there. We've summed everything up. I mean, I say we've summed everything up. Let's have a quick nose at the facilities, because we haven't actually had a look at them. In terms of facilities, we've got our own stadium. We own it. It's 42,000 seater, just over. We're looking to expand it as well. We've got great training facilities. Corporate is not the best, though, so we could probably improve on that, but that's not necessarily something we can do. But we've got really, really good... I mean, I've said it before. We've got a great foundation to build the squad. We really, really do. In terms of those transfers that we're thinking of, though, I think we need to be looking at players that we want to move on. And I think Courtney Hawes is one of them. Things I haven't actually added on here are the value of players and stuff like that. So let's pop on the value. Can I do that? Transfer value. And then I'll tidy this up at another time. And then can I do their contract as well? Their current contracts. Is that on here? It should be. Wage. Where would I find that? Oh, contract. Yeah, that would help. General wage. There we go. So, looking at what they're currently on, and again, I know this is going to be a mess, so apologies. Looking at what they're currently on, I mean, if this could expand, thank you. Looking at what they're currently on and what they're currently worth. So, Courtney Hawes is the immediate one that I'm looking at and thinking, let's get rid of him. £6,050,000, that would be really helpful. Bertrand Traore, up to 8 million, £60,000. That would be helpful. So let's say that that's, I don't know, 13 million there. Let's round it down. 14 million there, £110,000. Great stuff so far. Leon Bailey, if I want to get rid of him, let's try and round it up to 30. So 30 odd million pounds. Let's call it 30. Let's call it 40. And then another 90. So that's £200,000 there. I mean, that's a player within those three. But the problem is, it's 3 players leaving to bring 1 player in. So it works, but not necessarily as well as we wanted to. And then Callum Chambers, if we want to move him on, that would add a nice amount to there. So we'd have to really look for some bargains in order to make that work. And Leander Dendoncker as well, if we moved him on, we'd have to do that. So we might have to just go with this squad for the most part. But the problem we've got is this squad is decimated by injuries. So it might even be loans we have to look at. We've got 2 at the moment. Maybe we have to look at 1 or 2 more just to bolster the squad. Who knows? Who knows? But we are going to leave things there for this episode, and we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of the season in the next one. So we will be starting the season at Newcastle like we did in real life. Of course, in real life, we got pumped by them like a bunch of goals, which wasn't great. So we will see you for the Newcastle game. So until then, thank you very much for watching. Do not forget to leave a like on the video if you have enjoyed, and don't forget to subscribe. It's completely free to do so, and you'll make me a very happy chap. I've been Stu. You guys have been awesome, and I will see you next time. Cheers.